Welcome to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne, America's #1 take action success coach and strategist, empowering, educating, inspiring, and igniting people like you to take action with jet propulsion. We assist people to find and embrace their life purpose, live their highest vision, become the best version of themselves, forging a strong foundation so you can soar to success. We are there with you during transitions, any kind of transition. So we really encourage you to reach out to me, Coach Lorianne, and visit us at ldcstrategies.com or coachlorianne.com, Lorianne. Anyway, today I'm really excited. It's an episode you're really going to want to stay in here with, because it's really how to survive in tech. Specifically, I want my real estate people out there, and I know there's a lot of you, to really pay attention today, because Mark Weithorn is here with us, and he is brilliant with this. And I want to really give you a lot of yumminess throughout this episode. So stay with us. So I want to bring on Mark Weithorn. Sorry. He's a founder and CEO of DPI Showcase Websites. DPI is a 21-year-old tech company that specializes in creating websites for realtors and brokers across the USA and Canada. In addition, for the past 25 years, Mark has been teaching marketing classes at the Miami Association of Realtors. And recently, DPI has launched its first AI tool, which provides leads for realtors, mortgage brokers, and insurance agents. Are you listening? Mark's forte is, of course, marketing, and previously he's been a partner in advertising that specialized in product development and retail advertising. Welcome to the show, Mark. I'm so happy to have you here.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So excited. So you help real estate people and with their marketing and their websites and getting them out there and things like that. So I just want to kind of back up for a second. And there was something mentioned in your bio that just went bam. How does one keep a tech company relevant for 21 years when things are moving faster than the speed of light?
Sure, yeah, it's not easy, I'll tell you. Um, the trick is, or the key is to constantly reinvent yourself and never be afraid of failure. For example, 8 years ago, we had to redo our program from scratch because everything needed to be more mobile friendly. And
Sure.
it got to a point where our software just wasn't there. And we weren't afraid, we just went forward. We hired a company to do that. Took 9 months of painstaking programming and debugging, and then another 6 months to take all our clients from the old system and put them into the new system. But you can't be afraid of failure. We're constantly creating new tools for real estate agents in order to communicate with their clients and in order for them to generate leads. And some of the tools we create are fabulous, and others just, kind of die on the vine. And you never look back. You just keep moving forward, moving
But you
forward, moving
tried.
forward.
But you tried. So, some of the ones that didn't succeed, you still tried. You threw it out there. I mean, there was a thing called beta. Years ago, there was a thing called 8-track, right? Remember that? If you don't know what that is, look it up on the Google. It just means you're too young to know those things. But there were things, that we tried that just failed miserably. And it was a short-lived kind of a thing as we got better and improved and people came out with better items. I love that the fact that you stay relevant, that you continue to reinvent yourself and do that. I love that because I love to do that with people and I do that myself, right? So let's talk about the obvious, AI. So what's the future of AI? Because I have a lot of questions regarding AI.
Everyone is so scared of AI. It's just like, is it going to replace me? Am I going to be irrelevant for the rest of my life? And the answer is maybe. Okay.
No, I don't think it's a replaceable. I think we just take those tools and we refacet them to work in a different way. My favorite are the commercials that are out there where it's a plumber and goes, AI, finish this job. And AI goes, I can't do that. And it's like, yeah, we know. Similar to marketing, AI may come up with content, but you still have to personalize it and you still have to make it specific for your clients and things like that. So I don't personally, I don't think it will replace too many jobs. I think repetitive tasks will be replaced, but creativity cannot be replaced. AI can't replace that. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, 100%. I remember back in the day, desktop publishing came out, and I worked with an ad agency who had a typesetting machine, and he refused to get into desktop publishing. And a couple of years later, he was gone. I ended up with two partners, two brothers who were creative, and we had Windows, Photoshop 1.0, and
Oh, yes. Remember
and
that.
we embraced it, and it was just new technology, and we learned how to use it, and we thrived with it. And same thing with AI.
Yeah.
As long as you learn how to use it, you'll do well, and you'll
Yeah.
join, a new tech world.
I think we don't want to rely on it. I think we want to utilize it as a tool, but we don't want to lean so heavily on it that we don't have our own input and our own personalities woven into what's going on. So, and I know you can train the AIs to really speak like you or write like you, but it's still not you. So we have to remember that element and be able to be flexible like that. Is AI going to change our lives in any spectacular way that you can see?
Sure. So it will automate a certain task. Like I was at a Google conference a couple of weeks ago, and one gentleman was talking about how he needed to do a report. He works for a corporation, and normally it would take a day to do it, but he did it in about an hour. So it will simplify certain tasks as long as you know how to use the program.
Yeah.
What we use AI for is automation. And it works really well because most of my clients who are realtors are non-tech people. So what we do is we automate as many of the functions as possible. For example, we're using it now for lead generation in order to find people that are primed to sell their homes. And
Wow.
it automatically brings in the leads with all their information, and it automatically puts it into their client management system, automatically starts emailing them under the realtor's name. And then then there's the human element. We email the realtor a hot list, and they need to pick up the phone and call these people to, form a relationship.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. There's a synergy there. So those things can be done while you're working with another client. And then you need to do the follow-up. And follow-up is the key to any success. That is the key. If you don't do follow-up, you're not going to be successful. So I love how you integrate that. You also do insurance companies too. You do leads for insurance agents.
And mortgage brokers. It's similar lead generation. Basically, if you're moving, you need to get a mortgage, and then you probably need to do your insurance. So those leads are just as valuable for those two fields as well. So we're branching out into that.
Love it, love it. So now I know you do, and I had said in the beginning that you do training, and I love that you do marketing training. So let's talk about how to be a successful salesperson. What are the key elements to being a successful salesperson, other than follow up, of course?
So the first thing is you can't be afraid to talk to people you don't know, or you can't be afraid to answer your phone if there's a phone number you don't recognize. You realize as a salesperson, your number one task is to find new clients. And in order to do that, you have to talk to strangers. And it's tough. It is really hard. I teach a class. It's called Surviving the First 6 Months as a Realtor, and I get all the newbies there. And there's three types of people who come into real estate. There's young people who basically didn't go to college or just got out of college. Then you have part-timers who just want to do a few sales a year to bring in some extra money into the family. And then you have people who change careers. They could be working for a corporation and they think that they're just, they've reached their limit there and they need to do something else because they're kind of stuck. And those people need to change their mentality. They're no longer an employee, now they're an entrepreneur. and they need to be creative, to talk to people, to make friends, and they'll succeed.
There's a lot of different tools in working for someone versus working for yourself. And that's something with guidance like yours, that's something that's helpful. You really need to get guidance. If you've never owned your own business, really need to have somebody, walking with you, giving you information, helping you figure out some of the things that you're not anticipating because you never did that part before. So I'm a big proponent. Obviously, I'm a coach. I'm a big proponent of people really jumping into new things, but making sure that they have someone to walk alongside who has reach, has circles of influence, has resources and networking to help provide them with information, even if it's just to talk to someone. I was talking to someone just yesterday, actually, and they were looking. They just walked into a marketing position, and they really don't have any marketing experience. And the company that hired them knew they really didn't have marketing experience, but they loved everything else about them. You can learn the marketing, right? So I connected them with three or four really high level, outstanding marketers, and they're having conversations to get to really help promote what he's doing and help him understand the language and what he should and should not do, what he should and should consider, should or should not consider. So that's really a really, I think, exciting element to shifting your jobs in a company. You also help people, how you do a training topic on how to start a business. So let's talk a little bit about that because that's in my wheelhouse, starting businesses, working with people who start their businesses, love walking alongside them and, great big ideas. And that is fantastic, but staying in your wheelhouse is important too, right? So talk about what you talk about in your starting your own business seminars.
Sure. So the first thing you have to do is write a business plan. You have to have a roadmap as to what you're doing, where you're going, what's going to cost you to do this. People get their real estate license and they think, okay, I'm done. I'm going to join with a broker and they'll give me leads and I'm done. And it's not the truth. It's so far from the truth because typically most brokers hardly know the new realtors because they don't know if they're going to last or not. And then the other realtors in your office ignore you because, they think you're the competition. So you have to write a business plan and understand where you're going, what your marketing plan is, what it's going to cost you to do that. And then you need to follow it.
What if I never wrote a business plan before? What do you do then?
Well, we've got great things like Chat GPT these days. Before, I would say to people, go to Google, go to YouTube, get an outline, and sit there and write it. Now you can go to Chat GPT. I can't tell you how many people I talk to say, "Oh, I don't use Google anymore. I use Chat GPT,"
Sure.
and ask it to write a business plan for you.
Right,
Uh,
but and if you want to check to see if it's a good business plan, I really recommend people go to places like Scope. Scope is with the Small Business Administration, and they're volunteers who have run businesses before, so they can look at the business plan and determine whether or not it's a good one for you. And that's the important thing. That's the only caveat I have with ChatGPT is it's doing a generic one, but does it really apply to what you want to do? And does everything resonate? I actually, what's your philosophy on this? My philosophy is whenever you go to a seminar, whenever you go do something, you take what works for you and leave the rest. What do you think about that?
100%. When I go into marketing in my Surviving the First 6 Months class, I give them about 10 different tools that they can use. Some of them are free, some cost money, and it varies from posting on social media or advertising on Google or Facebook or LinkedIn. And I say to them, there's a lot of different things I'm showing you here, but just pick what you're comfortable in doing. And then that, use it, do it.
Yeah, and I think it's important to differentiate yourself. In order to differentiate yourself, you have to get a little creative. I know I had a recent real estate agent who was very different, and that's why I actually selected him because I saw his ads on it might have been Nextdoor, and he was doing these little sneak peeks, and he would go through a new house that he was listing, and he would find like the little secret something in the house that was like this really cool nugget that you would want. In the meantime, he's actually walking through the house and actually showing you the house without talking about the house. But he's going through and it's like, yeah, I'm going to pass through the living room now. And you see the living room. And it was absolutely brilliant. I was like, that is very creative. It's brilliant. Caught my attention. I thought things like that are very creative. I also know another real estate agent that does themes. She does open house themes. And that is so much fun because now the people are coming potentially with their kids and there's a Mardi Gras theme or whatever. And it's just a lot of fun. It's fun for her. It's fun for the people. I find that both of them have a lot of success because they've gotten creative with their open houses. They've gotten creative with how they market themselves out there. And that's what differentiates and makes you remember. That's the important part. I remembered both of them when I saw what they were doing. So that's what made me
Sure.
reach out, right?
I tell them to also post personal stuff on Facebook and Instagram.
Why?
So it shows the human side of you.
Yeah.
So let's say you're into baking. Like I have one of my sisters, she makes these really ornate cakes and then she puts it on a Lazy Susan and she rotates it slowly, does a video and posts it on Facebook and everyone knows her for her cakes. So, post some personal things. Just don't be a robot that wants your business.
Yeah, people need to get that know, like, trust factor, especially when you're buying probably the most expensive thing you'll ever buy in your lifetime, right? And sometimes it's one and done. So you want to make sure that you're working with the right person so you get into the right house, right? Or whatever living establishment you want, or if it's a business location as well. You want to make sure you have that know, like, trust factor. And I think that comes from, don't you? When you kind of reveal who you are. And the more you get to know someone, it's like, oh, I really like that person. I'm going to work with them. We humans typically work with people we feel comfortable with and who we find alignment with. I think, isn't that why you make that recommendation?
Sure. One of the best books I read it when I was 10 years old, was How to Win Friends and Influence People
Oh,
by
yeah.
Dale Carnegie. It was lying around the house. Turns out my brother had brought it into the house, and I picked it up and I could not put it down, and it changed my life.
Yeah.
But one little known fact is that 63% of all sales in real estate come from referrals. So, yeah, you might sell someone a house, they might be there for 30 years, but they got family, they've got friends, and they're going to, you ask for the referrals, say, hey, please send me your friends, and they will.
Yeah, yeah. I find we have this really cool thing. It's called the cell phone, and on it we have contacts. And I think we forget that we have all these people in there that we can use. That I call that low-hanging fruit. It's low-hanging fruit. Go to the people who have already been your clients, who already fell in love with you, who already used your products or your services, and then talk and get them to see if there's anybody who they can refer as well. So yeah, referrals are great. I did not know that number. That's a pretty high number, 63%. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
One of the things I do is an exercise in my class. I say, okay, everyone, take out your cell phone, open your contacts, and scroll to the bottom. How many people do you have there? The National Association of Realtors did a study. They found that 15% of the people in your cell phone are going to move in the next year. It's,
Wow.
it's amazing.
Wow. 15%. That's a high number.
That's a high number.
Wow, that's totally amazing. What other things do you teach them in the Start Your Own Business class?
So I give them a perspective as to whether they are an order taker or a salesperson. And we establish that they're not an order taker. An order taker is an employee where your boss gives you tasks to do. A salesperson needs to be entrepreneurial. A salesperson needs to go and find clients. A salesperson needs to know how to work with people, to suggest things to them, to pre-qualify them, find out what they're looking for, and then show them what they need. And then to constantly follow up and make sure that the deal is going well and make sure that they're happy afterwards.
Yes, yes, yes. Follow up, follow up, follow up. Why is follow-up so important?
So it's crazy. My wife's cousin was in the stock brokerage business, and he did really well. And they gave him old leads from people who left the business because they couldn't cut it. And what he found is these other stockbrokers call these people once and they never called them back. You need to follow up. You need to be prudent about it. You have to have a good what's called CRM, client management system. So you can put them in there and it needs to tickle you and tell you when to call people. You might want to buy a house, but that may not happen for 6 months. And what most people do is they call once and then they drop it. And 6 months later, when they're ready to take action, you're gone, you're history.
Yeah.
But if you stay in touch with them, they'll remember you.
Yeah, yeah, not, and there's a fine line between staying in touch and nagging. But we're going to take a short break. You're listening to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne, and we're here today with Mark, who is just like filling us up with all kinds of goodness. And we're going to continue this conversation after this short break. We will be right back. Welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne. If you'd like to be a guest or lift up your business, product, or not-for-profit, or if you have questions or comments, we would love to hear from you. Email us at healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. Let me slow that down. healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. We answer every email we get. We really enjoy it. And a lot of people who've been on, a lot of the guests who've been on is as a result of your emails. Oh my gosh, choking. So it's really good stuff, and we love that, and love providing clarity and letting you hear what's out there, all the goodness out there, and all the opportunities to do different things are out there for you, as well as services. We are here today, as I indicated before, with Mark Weithorn, just giving us all kinds of wonderful yumminess about real estate and AI, and we just want to continue the conversation. But I want to go back to sales, Mark, and welcome back to the show. I want to go back to overcoming the big word in sales, which is fear. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. People have a lot of anxiety, but what a lot of people don't realize is we are always, no matter what we do, are in some sort of capacity of sales. No matter what we do, you could be a nurse or a doctor. You kind of have to sell, not that you're selling it, but you kind of have to convince someone that maybe they need that procedure or operation or tooth or what have you, right? So we're always in one capacity or another selling. So how do we overcome that fear? Because it is a big fear, because as soon as you say you're a salesperson, everybody goes, I don't know why, but how do we overcome that? What do we need to do? What steps do we need to take?
Well, first it takes practice. You know that old saying, the 10,000 hours. So it takes practice to talk to people and know, what to expect and what they're going to ask. And after a while, you keep getting the same questions over and over again. And basically, you're waiting for them to finish asking the question because you know what you're going to say to them as soon as the first two words come out. And then you need family support. That's really important. You could be sitting at dinner and the phone rings, and it's a 12-digit phone number, and you're going, "Who is that?" And they're calling from out of the country, and basically you need to answer it. So it's those things. There's a
When you say family support, you mean, okay, yeah, take the call. I understand, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they understand the need that it's timeliness, especially in real estate, is very, very important, especially in sales is very, very important. Because if you don't return the call, they're already moving on.
I
Especially if they're calling from a website, they're already moving on. If you don't respond within seconds to a text or a call, boom, they're already on the next person.
I tell them if they get a lead, they have 15 minutes to reply to that lead. 15 minutes, that's it. Because you know they're sitting right there. And if you wait an hour, they could be working, running errands, picking up the kids, cooking dinner. You lost them.
Yeah, change your mind, change your focus. It's like, oh yeah, I was just thinking about it. Wanting to get information, you could have got that first connection. But then it begs another question, Mark, right? It begs the question of how do you get that work life balance? I call it a tapestry, but how do you get that balance if you're constantly answering phone calls and then annoying your partner that you're always on the phone, but you need to be responsive. So how do you get that going?
I've been doing this for over 20 years and I'm still trying to figure that out.
Oh, fair. That's fair. That's fair. I call them boundaries. So there has to be a certain amount of boundaries where you have to understand that you understand you may lose the call, you may lose the lead if you don't respond to them. Or you could do a quick text back and say, I'll give you a call on Monday, or I'll give you a call in an hour, or something like that. Some kind of communication. To me, I think it's all about communication. It's like, oh, okay, they responded, I'll wait. And I think people are willing to wait, at least I found in my experience, they're willing to wait as long as you communicate that I see you, I hear you, I'm here. I just can't talk to you at this particular set seconds. So what do you think about that?
You know, there's this one silly thing, the outgoing message on your phone. So, a lot of realtors, they'll have those automated anonymous ones. You've reached 305
Right. Yeah.
555, right? And I go, no bueno. You know, you're not a secret agent. You need to put a proper outgoing message on there. Identify yourself as a realtor. Say that you might be with a client. Say either leave a message or send me a text. You need to be responsive with that.
Yeah, 100%. Communication in anything is important. It builds that no like trust factor. It builds that relationship that you want to have. And especially real estate agent, what's the percentage of real estate agents that get repeated business? What is that percentage?
So there's three groups of realtors. 85% of realtors sell one or less house a year. They're part-timers. You know, they have their license, they do one or two deals a year, it brings in some extra money into the family. Typically, they have a spouse who's the main, earner in the house. Then you've got 2% of the realtors who are the high-end realtors, selling the million-dollar properties and they end up on the Bravo network on some, Realtors of Beverly Hills show or something like that.
Seriously.
And then you've got the rest of them, 13% that are just hardworking people earning a nice living and they do well. They work it, they answer their phone, they make friends, they have relationships, they get referrals, and by and large, they make a nice living.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think that's what makes a successful salesperson along the way is making sure that you build that rapport and then they start talking to other people and then getting your circle of influence with providing, I call it value added services. So yes, your insurance person, yes, your mortgage broker, yes, making sure that perhaps the trust, writing a trust, getting that taken care of. It's never too young. I just learned a whole lot about trusts and I thought it was really interesting. So you can have a revocable one even at a young age, but at least it's in place. It turns irrevocable as soon as you pass. So it is a protection mode, but it allows you to protect your assets. So if you need more information on that, you should really reach out to someone who does trusts. I think it's a really good element too. Do you?
Yes, you always need an accountant to tell you what to do and how to manage your money because you can do stupid things like, you get a commission for selling a house and you don't put aside the money for, taxes and things like that. So you always need to have an accountant in place for that.
Yeah.
Remember, this is a business
Right, because
and
you can get into a pickle.
you have to treat this like a business.
Yeah.
And it's really, believe it or not, a multi-million dollar business. Now your profit is not multi-million dollars, but sell two or three houses, and the next thing you know, you're over $1 million in sales.
Yeah.
And this is serious.
Yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. So let's circle back because my mind is still turning from the AI conversation we had earlier in the first segment. Let's talk more about AI. How else can people utilize it? How do you utilize it? What got you into AI? Like, what made you make that transition in and take that jump?
So I go to the Google conference in Las Vegas every year. It's me and 35,000 of my closest friends.
Nice.
And it's amazing. They really have a handle, not on just, building the infrastructure and stuff. Everyone's building the data centers and stuff, but they create tools, practical tools that people need in everyday life using AI technology. And so I go there and just to listen to what the trends are in the industry. Now, once again, we're a 21-year-old tech company, and that's not a coincidence. And the reason for that is because we're always embracing new technology. And we know that this is the direction it's heading. We are just released our first leads.ai product, which is going great. And then the beginning of the year, I have another product. We're in the middle of redoing our CRM, but I have another product for AI, and we can start working on that, and we'll release that probably end of February.
Wow.
So it is something you need to embrace. It is something that is a tool that will help you, and you should not be afraid of it.
AI? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's what's the most intriguing thing about it for you?
So there is some, simple parlor tricks, like let's say I want a picture of myself riding a horse, and put a sword in my hand and, have some volcanic background behind me and stuff like that. It will do that. I was just at another Google conference where they showed video, and it looked real. I mean, it was like, whoa. Those people look lifelike, and their mouth and the words synced, and all the fingers and everything were perfect. So, it is changing how we do production. There will be eventually like machine awareness, auto where it learns, machine learning, kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator, Eventually that'll happen. We're not there yet. But one of the other things that's really beautiful about AI is the automation, where it will do things for you without you having to worry about it, or tasks that you don't need to do. Now you can concentrate on talking to people and showing homes and closing deals.
I, it just amazes me that you can put all that into automation. It just befuddles me. So let's back up for a second. You've been doing marketing for 25 years. How'd you get into marketing? Let us know a little bit, talking about personal. Let's get to know Mark. Who's Mark?
Sure. Let's see. I grew up in New York City. My favorite thing to read were Mad magazines. And that, and plus I watched a lot of really classic TV like Andy Griffith or Beverly Hillbillies or things like that. And then I graduated from the Fashion Institute of Technology with a degree in commercial photography and marketing. And I became a commercial photographer for a while, and then I had to change because technology changed. Video was becoming more prevalent. The problem was the video cameras weighed about 40 pounds, and
Oh
being
yeah.
a skinny guy, I could not hold one of those things. They had the big guys who used to be linebackers carrying those cameras. So that's when I got into opening an ad agency, and we were doing retail advertising, radio commercials. I used to write jingles and newspaper ads. And
Wow.
then we did product development. We'd have manufacturers come to us and say, here's our product. We need to position it so and so. And we would create packaging and collateral material. And then as a vertical growth, we opened a printing company, DPI, which stood for Digital Printers International, which was It was a new technology in printing. It made it faster and cheaper. But I always knew that the printing business was going to be short-lived. I always knew that I was not going to retire owning a printing company because technology would change.
Right.
And we were doing mailers for realtors because they were, always doing mailers. And then at one realtor show in Atlanta, I was standing at the booth with my salesman, and this young guy walks by. And this is just one of those moments that are like, wow. And he says to me, I've got this website product for realtors. You want to help me market it? So I left my salesman at the booth, and the gentleman and we sat down at a table. We talked about it. We worked out a deal. Then we spent 6 months tearing his website apart because he's a tech person. I'm marketing. And then it's been gangbusters ever since.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. What brings you the most joy?
Well, there's my grandkids. Used to be my kids, but forget them. Now it's my grandkids.
Oh man, I have grandkid envy. Grandkid envy. How many kids do you have?
I have two boys, and
You do.
they both married Jersey girls. So Jersey girls don't go far from their mothers. So they're all living up north. So we have to go visit. Um, but I also have a lot of joy in my work and my profession. I really enjoy what I do. It's creative and it keeps my mind going. When I don't sleep at night, it's because I'm coming up with a new tool and I'm trying to figure out how to organize it and how to present it to my programmers so they can make it come to life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it you could tell you have joy in it because of how you love to teach people, you love to help them excel at what they're doing. It is very apparent that it brings you joy to do what you do, which is so, so very important. Do you work with corporations, individuals, both, specific companies?
So there's three different things in the real estate world. First of all, there's the large companies, the big brokers that have thousands and thousands of agents. We don't go after that because there's two or three of my competitors that chase the same 10 companies. Then you have individual realtors who we work with. And then you have the independently owned brokers who will have 20 agents, 50 agents at most, and they don't want to be part of any franchise or anything like that. They like having their own business. And we go after a lot of those, and we get a lot of them. And we help them. We help them provide tools for their agents so they can succeed. And it's a stable part of the business.
Yeah, yeah. So the episode is how to survive in tech. So how does one survive in tech, especially if you're not techie? Because you do work with a lot of people who are not technically inclined. They're used to old school ways of selling homes and stuff like that. So how do we survive with tech? I'm a bit of a geek, so I love it, but it's similar to you, right? But how can one survive? What are your best recommendations?
Take a small bite out of the apple at a time. Okay, because for example, realtors will go to the MLS class, which shows you all the listings and things. And I say the first half hour is great because they show you how to do a search and stuff like that. And then they start going off the deep end on all these other things. It's okay. Learn what you can learn and then go back and take the class again when you're ready to go to the next step. I
Yeah.
have a 94-year-old father-in-law. We got him an iPhone 3 years ago, and he loves it. He is in love with his iPhone. Don't ever take it out of his hands. I think, if you do, he'll be really upset. So first, I taught him how to make phone calls. Then I taught him how to text. Then I taught him how to go online, and then how to take pictures and text the pictures. And now he's doing FaceTime. And then he's a football fanatic, so you'll see him on a Sunday with his iPad in his lap watching a game while he's got two TVs going with two different games. So, one step at a time. Don't be afraid. You'll learn it. You learn it slowly.
Yeah, yeah, because it could be overwhelming, and then that's when you get rigor mortis. That's when you paralyze yourself because it's just too much. It's like fire hose of stuff. So I also liken it to watching a movie. So have you ever watched a movie and then the second time you go, I never noticed that before? Technology is the same thing. So just take what you absorb, be good with that, really learn it, and to your point, go back. You know, I do workshops, one workshop every single month, but it's the same workshop every year. It gets modified a little bit every year, but every time someone comes back, you come back at a different level. And now you hear the first part that you already learned a different way because now you understand. And so you build your confidence. And then you learn something new and you're like, okay, I'm going to tackle this next. And then you do that. And the next time you come around, same thing. It builds your confidence. And it's like walking upstairs. You know, you take a step at a time and you learn that and you just learn the bejeebas out of it. And then you go for the next level and you go to the next level, similar to how you taught your dad. And I think that's good. And by the way, God bless for your dad, 94 years old. God bless him. That's so good. So
Thank
good.
you.
And he's watching multiple football games at the same time. Go dad.
You know, what's funny is, he has hearing aids and they're all Bluetooth connected to his cell phone. The technology is amazing and he's comfortable with it.
Yeah, yeah. These days too, you know, the houses are technical and so, you know, when you're selling a house, knowing that you got these different hookups and what that means. I know when I sold a house recently, um, there were so many of my things were hooked up to different software packages. So I had a list of the different apps that they needed to download if they wanted to continue using those particular services. So including getting in their front door. So which was kind of helpful for them to know. And to be able to, you know, log out and know that they're going to log in and transfer that stuff over. I think that's a real helpful thing as a value added service from a real estate agent to the new homeowners to say, hey, these are the apps. I already got it from the previous owners. Here you can start downloading these before you even go to the closing table. So if you have any questions, that's a good place to ask those questions. And I know that's what happened to me, except I volunteered the information to the buyers and I was like, yeah, probably want to download these 5 apps. So, but it's exciting. I mean, those things make life really good. What you do makes life really good. Last thoughts that you have that you want to share with our listeners. Like give them a takeaway, give them a something to take action with right away.
Well, first of all, enjoy what you do. I mean, that's the key to the whole thing. If work is drudgery, then, it's hard to get out of bed every day. Enjoy what you do. And then I always teach realtors that they have to have the right tools to do their job properly. You need, right hardware. You need a good laptop. You need a mouse. So many people don't have a mouse. And then you need a, good cell phone and stuff like that. And then you need family support. You need to have your family behind you, and the one thing they can't say to you is, "I told you so," because that's so demoralizing.
100%, 100%. Mark, you are just wonderful. I'd love to have you back. If you want more information and you want to speak to Mark more about this or anything else, you can go to dpishowcasewebsites.com. That's dpishowcasewebsites.com. No worries, it's with the episode. So you can click the link. You could go directly to Mark, get some yummy goodness from him. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely a lot of fun and a lot of information, very yummy information. I told you so. Told you guys that it was going to be a good one. Thank you all for joining us today on Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I hope we earned the privilege of your time. Again, I want to thank our guest today, Mark Weithorn. He is fabulous. Go look him up and look for our show next Saturday at 3 p.m. on JVC Broadcasting and iHeartRadio. And of course, we can also be found on all major platforms and would be so grateful if you please like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I am Coach Lorianne, America's #1 Take Action Success Coach and Strategist. Let your dreams be bigger than your fears and let your life be filled with joy. Have a great day. Until next time. Thanks, Mark.